Greetings, YouTube. A regular refrain I hear when it comes to discussions of immigration or undocumented workers is they're stealing our jobs, or more along the lines of those foreigners are stealing our jobs, something like that. And the thing is, no one's stealing your job or our jobs collectively. It's not like you took a break and when you come back from break, there's someone else doing your job and you're now out of a job. That would be stealing a job. No, what's going on is that businesses are hiring these immigrants or undocumented workers. Now, if they're hiring them, they're doing so intentionally. It isn't by deception, it isn't by duplicity. It's just that the businesses have decided that they can underpay these individuals and treat them with fewer worker rights than they can American workers who may or may not actually understand their rights and may or may not be protected by some kind of a minimum wage law. For example, if you work in the restaurant industry or in some types of farming industries, you may not be protected by minimum wage laws, which you should be. Everyone should be protected by minimum wage laws. You should also be protected by all worker rights laws, which are being constantly undermined by those same businesses that are trying to undercut you, the American worker, by hiring undocumented workers or hiring people who they think will not know the laws as well, and so they can get away with more stuff. So your ire should not be placed at the feet of immigrants or undocumented workers, particularly undocumented workers. Your ire should be aimed at the businesses that hire them. Now, if a business was required by law to make sure that every single worker they hired is allowed to work in the US, and that there were actual strict and enforced penalties when they don't do this, undocumented workers wouldn't come here as often because there would be nowhere there for them to work. And I have a simple solution for this. First of all, we increase the number of agents that out there that inspect these kind of situations. And if they find a business owner has hired undocumented workers, for every undocumented worker found on site, they are penalized 1% of their gross worth. Not net worth, not profits, not income, gross worth. So if it's a big company and they find 100 undocumented workers, their company goes away. I would also arrest the CEOs of these corporations, which would send a clear message to the CEOs of all other corporations that they better make sure their underlings are hiring people that can work in the United States of America. Now, as far as immigrants go, we should make sure they're informed so that they understand things as well as Americans do, people that were born here, so that they will not be exploited. But they're still not stealing jobs. They're being hired. Now, I work for a company that hires lots and lots of immigrants, people that have been here. I've got someone I'm working with right now, someone I'm in the process of training, who showed up in America and had a job at my company a month later. So she's got very little exposure to America. Thankfully, her English is excellent. And my company did this because they needed workers, and there just weren't enough workers in the area to be hired. New Hampshire has a really low unemployment rate, and we were actually having a problem keeping places fully stocked with employees. But my company hasn't done anything wrong, anything unethical, anything immoral. And my company is pretty above board when it comes to workers' rights and such. And I can tell you right now that I'm going to make sure that everyone around me knows their rights as well so they don't get exploited. I know not only the state laws fairly well, but I know the company guidelines fairly well. I've been there a while. But as far as undocumented workers are concerned, go after the business owners. Whenever there's a problem in America, the best solution is follow the money. It is business owners that bribe politicians to make sure that our immigration laws are lax or complex. So there's a nice steady flow of undocumented workers. They want them. And let's be honest, a lot of Americans won't take the jobs that undocumented workers take because those corporations are not willing to pay a living wage. Yes, I am aware that this would drive up the cost of certain items in America. They did a study as far as Walmart was concerned, and if they were to increase all the Walmart employees to like $15 an hour, I think it would be increase the average cost of an item at Walmart by like 50 cents or something, even less than 50 cents. But that would mean every Walmart employee was making $15 an hour, which means the US government would not have to be subsidizing them, say, for example, with food vouchers and insurance for their kids because they can't afford to cover them. So we would make out there, even though all of us would pay a little bit more for items we're purchasing, the United States at large would be better off. Those employees would have more buying power. They could then help fuel the economy again. Money is the fuel of the economy. And the more money you put into the hands of the middle class and the poor, the better your economy does. When the wealthy sit on billions and actually trillions of dollars doing nothing, that isn't helping the economy. If you get it circulating in the economy by placing it in the hands of the middle class, well then, that's going to get things going. That's going to get things humming along. So don't blame immigrants. Don't blame undocumented workers. Blame business owners. Remember, in America, if there is a problem in America, you can lay that blame for that problem at the feet of two groups, either the capitalists or the social conservatives. If you, those two groups right there, and I really realize there is some overlap, those two groups cover almost all the problems that we have in America, that they are the source of those problems. And the solution is regulating those groups so they cannot exploit the world around them. That the capitalists can't exploit workers, and making sure that the social conservatives can't exploit and oppress women and minority groups. You do those things, and a whole lot of America's problems will just disappear. Actually, if you did that over the world, a whole lot of humanity's problems would disappear. Because it is capitalists and social conservatives that are source of almost all of our ill.